Welcome to Highlighted, a Life Church midweek podcast. Here we're on a journey to look for ways to make our sermons more practical in our everyday lives, and we want to inspire you to live out your faith every single day, not just on Sundays. In each episode, we highlight our sermons and our ministries to see how God is working in our church and through our community. And for the first time in a long time, I would say usually I'm joined by the greatest pastor in the world, but today I'm still joined by the greatest pastor in the world.
I was about to say.
But not. It hasn't been usually. It's been like a month.
It's been a little while.
So welcome back to Highlighted, and I know all your fans are gonna flock. And watch this episode because
this will be
your first
the
episode back.
Yeah.
But no, this is gonna be a good, meaty, hard episode because we just stepped into a good, meaty, hard series all about lament and grief and learning how to deal with that. And also, real quick, guys, do this every episode. We're going to pause. If you didn't hear this past Sunday sermon, if you weren't here at church, if you didn't listen to it, if you didn't watch the live stream, whatever it is, pause this video right now. Go back, check it out. I promise you won't regret it. It was just such a timely and powerful word, I really believe, not just for us in the life of our church, but I think for everyone just in our community, what people kind of seem to be going through.
Yeah.
Now, and you said it best, I think, when you said, God won't heal what we won't feel.
Yeah.
And it's just this idea that we live in a world that's told us to bottle everything up.
Yeah.
And to keep it to ourselves. So again, you didn't hear that from me. Go back and watch the episode. But that, I think, is the biggest kind of summary of the sermon.
Agreed.
Is just that, we've been told to bottle these feelings up, and that's just not a practical way to deal with grief.
Right.
And that's not what God intended, and that's not the healthiest thing for us as individuals. So when we can kind of take a bigger step back and learn that it's okay to feel things, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to question God, to say why. But we can take a step back and through that process, through this. And that's what it is. Grief is a process. It's not a one simple prayer, and God's going to take away these feelings from you. So if you just take a step back and you can bring it to God, and you said this on Sunday during our time of response, but if you have nothing else to say but why, then do that. Because that's enough. That's enough to come to God. And he's tough. He can deal with our hard questions. He can deal with our attitudes. So that's kind of my summary of the sermon. If you didn't watch it, this is your third and final chance. Go back and watch it. Go back and listen to it. But we started a brand new series, Learning to Lament. And it's weird to say I'm excited for a series like this because it's such a heavy topic. But I really am, because like I said, I believe it's such a timely thing. And just hearing, testimonies from Sunday and stories from Sunday and how timely this message was so just incredible. And something that we know that not a lot of people know is you've been wanting to do this series all year long.
Yeah.
It's been in the back pocket.
Yeah.
And it was the first series that you had planned.
The first one that I planned for the year.
And for whatever reason, it kind of bounced its way back here to October. And but man, what a timely time! What a timely time for the
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, it's really cool because on the one hand, this has been in the works for well over a year now. I remember walking around the sanctuary, just praying about where we were going to go in the upcoming year. I usually do that starting in September, October, November. I'm kind of planning out the next year, and this was the first thing that I wrote down. I had a big Post-it note, a big massive Post-it note that I was just writing stuff on, and I spent about 3 or 4 hours just walking the sanctuary praying. And this one, I just couldn't get this out of my system, and so I even started studying for it early, and I began to place messages and series where we felt like they needed to be, and this one just kept moving down and down and down and down. So it is kind of neat to understand the process, that God's timing is a part of the process of how we do sermons and when we plan to do things and what we do. And there really is a need for this. And here's the thing, this is what we don't understand about lamenting. To lament is a form of worship. It's it's a language of worship that communicates that even though we're in our grief, we know that He is our hope. And so we didn't see that a whole lot in Sunday's message, because it's kind of like the opening to the book. But the other thing about the book of Lamentations that we have to remember and we have to make sure we pay attention to is the structure of it. Lamentations is a set of poems that are all acrostics, and so they go through the Hebrew alphabet, A to Z, right? And presumably this is Jeremiah. We think we know that. We don't know that for sure, but it makes sense for him to be the one. And he's literally showing us a picture that there is in Lament this completeness. There is a way not to. I want to be really careful here, because we in our society tell people to bottle things up. We tell people to get over it. I grew up in a time in the church where emotions were viewed as the bad guy. Never be led by your emotions, right? Never trust your emotions. They're always going to lead you down the wrong path. And that never set super well with me, and I understand where the heart behind that is, right? We're supposed to be led by the Spirit of God, by the Word of God. But emotions are something that God has given us and placed inside of us, and used in their proper context, in their correct way. They create a type of relationship between us and God that open us up to the fullness of Him, the completeness of where He can take us. And so Jeremiah, presumably, again, I'm going to just say Jeremiah, but understand that there is a little conflict with whether or not Jeremiah wrote this, but in general, it's understood that he did. He sets out here to say, hey, look at everything we've been through, look at everything we've done, and all that's happened. And yet, he's going to get there. He's going to get to the place where he can say, and yet we have hope. And so the first step to lament is feeling what you feel, right? If you refuse to feel it, you'll never be able to get past it. And here's the thing. When I say get past it, I'm not talking about getting over it. There are things we never get over. There are things that fundamentally change who we are. And this is what's happening in the book of Lamentations. The people of God, the Israelites, they fundamentally change after this. Things are never going to be the same again. Even when they come back and they start to rebuild after the exile, the temple's not the same, right? The worship's not the same. The idolatry is not the same. The walls are not the same. We never see, when they come back, it's never the same. They have always been forever changed. Yet, there's a reality to the fact that there's hope. And it's in that backdrop. It's in that backdrop that everything happens leading up to the actual hope of the world coming, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about not just this past Sunday, but this series as a whole, is it, as hard of a topic as it is, it addresses it pretty practically.
Yeah.
In real steps that we can do. And we saw this on Sunday. So again, if you weren't here on Sunday, go back and check it out. But we really got some practical steps. And that first step was just, hey, if you're dealing with something, you just got to step out and you got to give it to God.
Yeah.
And that's the first step. And arguably the hardest.
Sure.
Arguably the easiest, all at the same time. But what a challenging kind of thought and idea that, the creator of heaven and earth would care enough about our problems.
Yeah.
Too. And not just our day-to-day, oh no, I forgot to take out the trash and it's trash day problems, but our deep mourning, tragedy problems that we face in our life, more times than once. And I think for me and in my family, we lost my uncle this year.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've been having to walk through. So to step into a series about grief and learning how to walk through this in a biblical way, but also in a way that it refreshes and refuels you and gives rest to your soul, that doesn't just tear you apart and make you worry and do all these things, or even on the other hand, do these things to forget like it never happened. And you said something on Sunday that, these things that happen to us, they're not just bad things that happen so we can give it to God and forget about it and walk away, but they're there so they can mold us and change us and shape us. And whether or not it was, a good thing, God's going to use it in his timing and in his will. And so to look back over the last few months and seeing what, my mom and my grandma have had to deal with, and walking through the loss of a brother and a son, and seeing, my family there, his kids, his wife, what are they having to walk with and deal with? And ultimately we can rest assured in the hope of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I said this to my whole family when he passed away, because it was the strangest thing. We've been praying for him for like a year, like in like nonstop hard, like going at it, praying for him. Everyone's praying for him. And there was just this peace about it when he passed away.
Yeah.
And we couldn't explain it. And, if you asked anyone else that's, not from church, like, where do you get this peace that surpasses understanding? Like I want that. I need that. And he passed away fully at peace, ready to go be with his Savior.
Yeah.
And there is just this unnatural but supernatural peace to it. And I said this, that, we've been praying that God take his cancer away, and he did.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the way that we wanted. It
Sure.
wasn't the way that we intended it, but ultimately he's not suffering anymore. And while we're going to miss him here, he's in paradise. And this past Sunday, I didn't know this until I think after the sermon, but my mom's dad passed away like 37 years ago to the date this past Sunday.
Yeah, which is
so to
crazy.
walk into week 1 of our new series on learning how to grieve after a hard year of, spending time with my family and praying for my uncle, and then him passing away, and walking and dealing with all these things that come as a result of that. And then to have this heaviness of, your dad passed away 37 years ago to this date, and you have all these feelings and emotions, and then Sunday hits.
Yeah.
And Pastor Joshua walks up, I'm going to talk about grief today and learning to lament. And I want to think, and I'm not speaking for my mom here, and I know she'd be okay with me sharing this, but I think if that was me in her shoes, I'd be a little discouraged. I'd be like, I don't want to talk about this today.
Not today.
Like, not today. But what a timely time for that to happen. This is the second time I've said timely time today. But what a great time for that to happen. And even if she might have been resistant to it, because I know I would have. Sure. I know if I'd lost my dad, I lost my brother, and today's the anniversary, and I know we're starting a new series. I don't really know what it is, and you go up there and you say, this is gonna be a really hard topic to speak about, but we're gonna be tackling grief over the next month and learning to lament and what that means from a biblical. Like, I'm gonna be like, I'm walking out of here. I'm not coming back till November.
Yeah, I'll be back
Pastor.
in November.
But knowing that we have a sovereign God, who in his timing has a plan for all of us, and that's just one story. That's just my mom's side of the story. But knowing and hearing what other people have walked through this past year or even this month, and knowing how this sermon has already impacted them, and not even from oh wow, thank you, Pastor, you said the right thing.
Right.
Wow, thank you, worship team, you sang the right song. Oh wow, I just feel so good to be in church. But knowing that God can take even the hardest of emotions and even the worst of feelings, and he can turn it around and he can say, I know you had to walk through this. I know you had to endure this, but I understand.
Yeah.
And out of every, and that's one thing that I feel like when someone loses a loved one or someone's going through something, it's hard for me because I haven't really been through a lot to say, oh, I understand how you feel. Sure. Or even for people who've been through similar situations, it's hard for them to say, I understand how you feel, because you never really understand the gravity of it. But we serve a God who understands how we feel, truly. And that's just such a mind-boggling concept to know that our Savior, our Creator, not only does he want to love us in that moment and comfort us in that moment, but he understands us. Yeah. And he understands the pain and maybe some of the shame and the guilt that we might feel, like, oh, what if I called more? What if I did this more? What if what if I could have helped in another way? Maybe this wouldn't have happened. Uh, but we serve a God who's going to cover that shame, cover those questions, cover
Yeah.
that doubt, and insecurity and fear and sadness and everything else we might feel in the process of grief. And He's going to cover us in His love
Yeah.
and lead us by His Spirit.
It's incredible to me that God gives us a language for this, and we don't begin to teach it really, really early in life, because everybody's going to experience some level of loss, right? This isn't just about if you've lost someone, you can lose something. I've been with people who have sat down with me and said, I feel like I've just lost myself, and they don't know how to communicate that, how to have this moment with God, and then they feel guilty when they do. And I remind them, like, Jesus had some language of lament a couple times, even in his short life here that we have recorded. That he had a couple moments of lament where um, he he knew loss, and he understood loss, even to his own life. And my God, why have you forsaken me? That wasn't sinful language. That was a man. My humanity is like really showing here. We've been talking a lot about the humanity of Christ on Wednesday nights, and this connects so great with that, because we sometimes forget that he was 100% God, 100% human, and it's the human side that we can mimic. It's the human side that we can be like. And so I can't be like a God. I can't be like God, but I can be like the human Jesus. I can fashion my life after him. And so you're right. It is timely, and it's timely from a personal standpoint for many people, and within our country, and in our community. I don't know that I hit this super hard on Sunday, but you know there really is a loss that's happening in our country right now. And yes, it's a loss. Yeah, we lost someone, but also I think there's some ideals that were lost with what has recently happened and transpired with everything going on, not just with Charlie Kirk. There's so many other things, random killings on a bus for no reason at all. Um, wars that are beginning to break out, and things that are beginning to happen, and there's some hopes and dreams that are lost in that. There's some hope for humanity lost in that. And these are things we can lament. These are things that, versus just complaining about something, we can say to God, okay, here's what we see. We know you bring hope, but man, this is hard. Right? Jeremiah describes the walls being torn down, the city being in ruins, people crying. It talks about Israel itself being like a widow. And every time I read Lamentations, I think, man, I can just feel the loss and the pain in that. And I understand it because I've lost some things and I've been through some things, and it's not always bad things. We have just experienced our first child moving out of the house. And while there is some exciting pieces of that, there's some things I lament. There's pieces of sorry. I got emotional on Sunday too, because this isn't just a sermon for me. This is learning. And it's hard to learn to lament. It's hard to push yourself in that direction. But and anybody who's went through what I'm talking about, you get this. There's a piece of life that changes that is never going to come back. And it's exciting, but man, I miss parts of it. And this is what we're learning about. How do we have these moments with God where we worship him even in the pain, even in the struggle? And we have to be willing to let him feel our we have to be willing to feel our pain so that we can have a conversation about it, so that we quit carrying things. If we don't express that, we walk around carrying it. And when we walk around carrying it, things get heavier. And we find ourselves in positions where we can't even stand up. We can't even keep going. We can't even any of these things. And
So lament gives us an opportunity. It's not just a book of the Bible that we're learning. It's an opportunity for us to deepen our relationship with God and help and for us to understand He cares enough that He wants to hear how we feel. He wants us to say it and express it. And so, like, even through this whole process, it's silly to be crying right now, but even through this whole process, right? It's been this like joy because I'm super happy for who my son is becoming and how he's doing and what he's doing. And then on the other side, I'm like, man, there I remember him being big enough for me to hold, and he's just holding my arms, right? And I remember the aspects of growing up, and I miss parts of that and parts of the dependence and parts of the, just his presence sometimes. And so, it can be good things that lament is tied to. You don't always grieve just the bad things. There are some seasons that we grieve. There are things that we grieve, and lament brings language to that. And so my challenge is, you might think, well, I haven't lost anybody. It isn't just about losing someone, right? It's about any loss, and that's a huge part of it, because we are all going to lose someone we love. And so knowing how to express and walk through that's important. But I'm going to challenge those who maybe would say, well, I haven't really lost anybody recently, to not look at this as, okay, this isn't for me now, this is for me later. This is for you now. We all experience loss. You lost a job, you lost a business, you lose a pet, you lose a loved one. Maybe a dream that you had is lost. This isn't just, and this is the thing about Lamentations, the incredible thing is that what we're going to see Jeremiah lament is more than just the loss of a city, more than just the loss of a place. It's going to be the loss of a way of life. And the only way that he knows how to express it, and I love this, it was such a Bible geek moment for me, was to learn that the Hebrew word for the name of Lamentations is just how. Like a full sentence, how, ? And I think, man, the number of times that I just have looked at God and said, how could this happen? How am I supposed to move on from this? How am I supposed to how am I supposed to smile when somebody looks at me? How am I supposed to talk about this? How am I supposed to help anyone else through it when I can't get through it myself? How? And I think about people who've lost loved ones and who've lost children and who've lost pets. And I think about people who've lost dreams and jobs and all these things. And the number of people on a given month that look at me and say, Pastor, how? And I think, man, God, what an incredible opportunity you've given us to understand that question can be a full statement, a full thing, and we can still have hope, even when it's unanswered, even when we don't know, even when we don't get it. We can say how, and God says, let me just wrap my arms around you. Let me just give you a little bit of hope. Let me just help you a little bit. And we may not get that right away, but it's so important that we understand it's okay to just say, God, how, why this, why now?
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the struggles is we don't realize how practical lament is, how easy it is to kind of walk through these things. And not that it makes walking through these things easy, but the next step is right in front of you, right? The next step is right there. And maybe you've been dealing with loss over a job or a loved one or a pet or a dream or anything that we talked about. And you just don't know what the next step is. Maybe it happened a week ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it happened a year ago. Maybe it happened 12 years ago and you just haven't dealt with it yet.
Yeah.
There's still time. God still wants to deal with it with you, right? He doesn't want to just take it and like we said, he doesn't want you to just forget about it like it never happened, but
right.
He wants to walk with you. He wants to hear your how, your why, you're crying out. Like, he can deal with it. We said this over and over again. You said it on Sunday, but he's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how hurt you are. He's not going to stop loving you. He
Yeah.
can deal with it. And so I would just challenge you as this like first practical step. And like I said, each week's going to get really practical
Yeah.
with kind of our response in this next step. But if you were here on Sunday and you did this on Sunday and you need to do it again, like don't feel like, okay, I already gave it to God once. I can't give it to him again. I got to wait till next week. I got to give it to someone else because God can't handle it twice. So that's not true.
It's not true.
But
every day.
And that's what I think for a lot of us, and depending on the season of life we're in, is that lament could be a once a month thing for some people, but it could be an every hour of every day thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people too. So just knowing where you're at, I would just say, step one, if you did this on Sunday, great, do it again. If you weren't here on Sunday and you went back and watched the message, you're here now and you're thinking, man, I wish I was there. I wish I could have responded. You can still respond now, today. And I would just say, take, the next 10 minutes, not even a long time, 10 minutes after this episode ends, and give your how to God, right? Give your burden to God and just cry out to him in an authentic and pure and honest way, not trying to use the most holy language, right? We're not looking for the best words or the highest word count, even if it's just a how. Cry out to God, give it to him, and watch how he'll transform your life. Watch how he'll transform your heart, and watch how he'll use this, right, in this hard season of our life in the next one, right, to be a testimony of his goodness, of his faithfulness. And my favorite thing about this, not my favorite thing about grief and lament,
Sure.
but my favorite thing
I get
that
what
we've
you're
been
saying.
talking about for the last like half of a year has just been how our story of faith is going to help lead other people. And I know you thought we were done with that stuff. We thought we were done with that.
We made the mosaic, Paul.
We made
What's
the mosaic.
The
We
deal?
finished it. We finished Missions Month. We're talking about grief now. Like, I don't want to share that with anyone.
Well, if you're paying attention on Sunday, I said pain is a part of our story, right? And bringing what God does with that and how God does that becomes our testimony.
Yeah.
Our story. I said it. If you weren't listening, I said it on Sunday. I just didn't highlight it.
Yeah. Here we're highlighting it now, because clearly I missed that on Sunday too. But it's a part of our story, right? I wasn't going to use the word story until you did.
Yeah, I appreciate
But
that.
my favorite thing about learning to lament is that we're walking through this now, but one day, right, when Malachi experiences loss, or when whoever XYZ, fill in the blank, it doesn't matter. When whoever experiences loss, and it doesn't have to be your son or your daughter or anyone that you're related to. When anyone experiences loss and you're walking through life with them, you can turn to them and say, hey, this is how I walked through it. This is how I learned how to lament. This is how I gave it to God, and this is how he brought me through. Yeah. And it really allows us to grow together in community with one another, and it allows us to share a hard part of our life. Oftentimes, loss is a hard part of our lives, no matter what we're losing.
Right.
But a lot of times, God can bring great revival out of loss and out of those moments, because in those moments, we really, truly become dependent on him. So I want to challenge you, if you responded on Sunday, if you didn't respond on Sunday, a practical step, right, to week one of learning how to lament, right? We did this on Sunday. Just give it to God. And I know that's a silly, simple thing. It's like, I've been trying to give it to God for the last 6 months, and just be honest with him, right? You don't need eloquent language. You don't need to be in a church building. You don't need to be at an altar. You don't need to be with a pastor. But just sit down, like sit in your chair, in your office, wherever you're at, and just take the next 5-10 minutes and just be honest with God. Let him know how you're feeling. Let him know what you're feeling, how it felt, if you felt abandoned or lost or broken. And I promise you, you're not going to say anything that's going to upset him.
Yeah.
But he wants to love you through this moment. And I'm excited for the rest of the series, right? 2 more weeks. We're going to take a little break for Speed the Light Sunday. We have Fall Festival coming up. It's an exciting October. There's a lot going on. But I'm so excited for how practical this series is and just learning how to deal with such a heavy thing. In a way that we kind of break down into steps, and it slowly, not 100%, but it becomes easier. Not that it becomes easy, but it gets easier the more you walk through it. And then I'm excited to turn and jump into our next series after this, because like we've been saying for the last 6 months, they all connect. They all go together. And it's going to be an exciting time. And then we're into Christmas. So Christmas Fest is coming. So maybe be on the lookout for some Christmas Fest information coming at you soon.
73 days till Christmas.
So
I think so my daughter does a countdown. And this morning, I write them notes every morning for like on sticky notes. And I think I wonder if I recall right. It was either 73 or 78. I can't remember which one I saw, but I think it's 73.
It was one of the.
Yeah. And I think it's 73. 73 days. That's it. And then Christmas is here. So yeah, Christmas Fest, Christmas at Life, all that stuff. Be watching.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. Fall Festival's coming. There's so much you can do to help out with that. There's so much you can bring to help out with that. But the most important, I'm going to say it's the most important. Invite someone to come with you to Fall Festival, because year after year we hear testimony after testimony about how, hey, I got invited to this and I never thought I would step foot into a church. But man, you guys are so loving. Like, I didn't know church could be like this.
Yeah, it's the event. If I was going to point to one event that always brings in a new family or anything like that, it's Fall Festival.
Yeah, so make sure you're inviting your friends, your family, your neighbor, whoever it is. And we've been talking about this invite challenge. Me and Marissa talked about it last week. If you were here on Sunday, Marissa talked about it in the video talking about Fall Festival, that we're going to challenge you to just 3 people. 3 people, that's it. But be praying over those cards, inviting. And I'm not just saying, oh, I have 3 cards here, you get one, but be intentional about it, right? Go knock on your neighbor's door. Hey, so-and-so, I know you have little kids and a family. We're having this Fall Festival event at church. It's completely free. We're going to have hay rides and games. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going with my family. It's from 2 to 4. You can come anytime, but I would recommend just come early and enjoy the whole time, because it's going to happen fast. So we're going to be there at 2. I'm bringing my family. We'd love it if you came with us. And that's it. That's just that simple. And if they say no, who cares?
Right. I mean, you're not out of anything.
You're not out of anything. We're out an invite card, maybe, because they're going to throw it over. They're mad. They're angry. They got to lament the invite card. No, but it's seriously such an awesome event. And I feel like each year we hear of a new testimony, of a new story of how that event changed someone's life. So you never know how an invite's going to transform someone's life. And I'm just going to challenge you, take 3 people, pray over the cards, pray over the people, and invite them to church with you for Fall Festival. It's going to be a great time. I'm excited to jump back into this series next week.
This Sunday?
This Sunday, not next week. Yeah, it's Wednesday today.
Technically next week.
And then it's also midweek at Life today. And going along with midweek in our series, not starting today, the day this episode comes out, but next Wednesday, we have a brand new small group launching that we're not stopping anything we're normally doing on midweek. We're just doing another thing adjacent to talking all about mental health, and from like a biblical perspective, and not just like I don't need that because I have I have Jesus.
Yeah, it ties into this series and the next series, and the individuals who are leading it are handpicked specifically for this, and so we're excited for that group to start.
Yeah, so that's starting next Wednesday. We have midweek tonight. So if you're watching this the day it comes out, come to midweek. Come check out what God is doing here on Wednesday nights. We're going through an awesome Bible study that you brought up earlier in this episode. So that's all we're gonna give. We're talking about like the manness of God, the manliness of God. I was trying to figure out the funniest way I could phrase it. And if you're confused, then you just got to come and find out what we're talking about. But it's going to be an awesome time. There's so much going on. So again, stay connected. Make sure you come to Fall Festival, invite someone, and we can't wait to see you again soon.